looking for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are author Allison Burnett and artist Sheri Lee Robinson. Sheri's portraits of me are on the set today. Author, screenwriter Allison Burnett was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. The family moved to Illinois, where he graduated from Evanston High School and Northwestern University. Allison lived and worked in New York, but you left there
in 1990.
In 1990, so not so long ago. You went to the playwriting
At Juilliard.
At Juilliard. So let's go first things first. How did you get to New York? Why'd you go there, and how'd you start playwriting?
Well, I graduated from Northwestern when I was 20. I didn't know, I wanted to write plays, and New York was the obvious destination. And I had a very good family friend who lived in a brownstone right across from the Actors Studio.
Oh.
And so that was my first stop, and then I found my own apartment, and a year later started a program at Juilliard in playwriting.
But did you always want to write? Because Northwestern's a great drama school, isn't it?
At Northwestern I acted and wrote.
Oh, you did?
Although I had some success as an actor there, my heart really started to get most invested in reading English literature. My background it became more and more literary and less theatrical in terms of acting. And then I wrote a play my senior year that won the playwriting contest, and it kind of, from then on, I was kind of sold on being a writer. So when I moved to New York, I'm 20 years old, I'm writing plays, and that year at Juilliard was a great year because I got to just focus on playwriting in a somewhat less academic but more practical environment. And I did that for a year, and then the long drought of the 80s began, where I was proofreading at a law firm. I was tutoring high school students in the SAT, working 35 hours a week, slaving away, trying to make a living, and writing 35 hours a week.
Why weren't you acting then? Did you try that?
I just gave it up. I just didn't even think about it. To me, it's a dog's life, really, to be an actor. I really think it is.
But
I didn't want to be at the mercy of a phone ringing or at the mercy of any of that. And I really felt like to be really, really good at something, I would have had to work so hard on voice and speech and all these things, and I felt that as a writer it came more naturally to me.
Well, as a writer, you have to wait for phone calls to come too.
A little bit, but you can do the work. You can do the work every day of your life without anyone giving you permission.
That's true.
Yes,
so
can painters, and so can other people that write in the different
artists
forms.
in their own venue. Before we go any further, Allison. I know we keep making mistakes and thinking you're a female.
As I like to say, 5 minutes alone with me in a room naked, and you can tell I'm definitely male. It takes a full 5 minutes.
But no, who can?
Who can
do that?
My father's name was Allison. My son's name is Allison.
Where did it come from?
When my father was given the name in 1932, it was actually a pretty rare name for men or women.
Because Francis was both. Yeah.
Many were.
Many names.
Alice, a lot of these. But if you look in baby books, it's listed as a male and female name, but it was rare. And when I was born in 1958, it was still pretty rare. And then Mia Farrow had the name on Peyton Place. And overnight it became wildly popular for girls. And suddenly it became a girl's name. But up to that point, it was just a rare name for either.
A man?
Yeah, and my son was born 6 months ago, and I named him Allison, and I'm proud of it. And I think he'll be proud of it.
You're not giving him a hard label?
It wasn't that
it's
hard.
Like the Johnny Cash song?
No. You know what? Girls love the name, so he'll always be popular with the ladies. And it really isn't that big a deal. I mean, I got teased a little bit, but not much.
I was going to say, do you thrive on having all of us screw up and say, Allison, is she here yet?
I don't mind it. I don't mind
bad,
it.
So
I create a lot of confusion in people because, in my novels, The narrator is a bipolar, tall, fat, bald, middle-aged, chemically imbalanced gay man.
Not like you.
Not like me.
Not at all. And this is your first book, right?
Yes, that's the first one.
Is he the...
Christopher, no, the narrator's name is B.K. Troop.
Oh, B.K.
And
Troop,
he's a very scholarly, erudite, witty, delusional, force to be reckoned with, and he has an obsession with a young straight man named Christopher. And he's so obsessed with him that he narrates the story, the inner and outer life of Christopher during 1984 in New York. In the second book, B.K. Troop moves into a brownstone and starts an artist colony.
But this, let's get to Christopher first. This was a finalist in the Penn USA Literary Award.
Yes.
What did the judges like about it?
They don't tell you. You just, all I know is that
don't?
it's for a lot of books. They're all west of the Mississippi, and there are not very many that are paperback originals like this was. The last thing in my mind was thinking I had any prayer for this, and they picked it as one of the 4 finalists.
But this is interesting, a paperback original.
Yes.
It's not there's no hardcover.
No. Which is great because it's affordable. You sell more copies, but you lose some of the prestige of having a hardcover. But in England, especially, more and more, the wave of the future is to do paperback originals in fiction because it's less expensive for the publisher and they sell more of them.
And how do they decide that it's going to be paperback or hardcover?
Probably just their sense of what the sales will be like or whatever. And because this has a gay narrator, it really doesn't matter that I'm straight and most of the characters are straight. It gets a little bit ghettoized as gay fiction. And, it's not truly gay fiction at all. I mean, my grandmother loved the book. Anyone could love the book. It's got nothing to do with gay life. But it happens to be that the gay community has really embraced these books because it's a gay narrator.
So it's Mr. Troop.
Mr. Troop.
Mr. Troop is the gay guy. What is he like?
He is hilarious, pompous, well-read, very dry and witty. Emotionally, he's a little bit childlike. He is full of lust, but always fails romantically. And he loves young people and wants to be their mentor, if not their muse.
So if you write from a gay voice, can you write is your biggest audience gay?
For these 2 books, yes.
Oh, they are?
But not primarily.
So would it be a straight audience?
Well, don't
also?
understand. A lot of straight. The reviewers for mainline. The LA Times gave it a rave review. It was a straight reviewer. The books are entertaining for anyone.
So you don't want to narrow.
Oh, no,
it's not
in any way. No, and I can't define it, and I can't control it. It's completely. If Borders wants to call it gay fiction, I can't stop them. But it really isn't. It's just. Is Oliver Twist orphan fiction?
No, it's a story, right?
Yeah.
And I think the one thing about these kind of books, this is The House Beautiful. This is where Mr. Troop goes next,
yes,
right?
This one came out just a few weeks ago, October 1st.
The weight of them, because traveling all the time, you want something like this that you can read through.
Yeah, they're very user-friendly. Yes, and the thing about the books is that they're, my goal, and I think so much of modern-day fiction has given up real storytelling in favor of constant abstraction, endless discussions of inner life and the past, and I'm just sick to death of it. Like, I read Philip Roth, and I just want to slit my throat. It's like, I find it unbearable. So what I wanted to do is sort of go back to the early roots, like what Dickens was a master of, which is real storytelling, where you simply cannot and don't want to put it down, and that's what I tried to do here.
Yeah.
I took out the boring bits.
So you took out the
yes.
boring bits. So did you have an editor helping you?
No, because
you did it yourself?
My editor just said, thank you. I wish every book came to me in this shape, because I really am a perfectionist about
Ready
language.
To go.
Yeah. And so I keep the story moving, and even though it's comic, it's not trivial.
Well, tell us, House Beautiful.
Well, the House Beautiful.
It's a brownstone in New York.
Yes, BK has inherited this from his best friend, Sasha Buckwitz, who dies during some much-needed electroshock treatment, and she has a stroke and dies, and he's left this brownstone. Unfortunately, it's in hock up to its eaves, and so he, in order to afford it, he can't do it off his psychiatric disability check and the small amount he makes from his subsistence trust. So he has no money, so he starts to rent out rooms, and he rents them out to young, struggling artists who believe in many gods. They have to be pagans. And they come, and there's a novelist, there's a sort of a philosopher, a painter. They're young, they're straight, they're sexy. There's a lot of fun and sexuality. There's one gorgeous lesbian who's highly promiscuous. And BK thinks that he's going to be like their great muse when in fact they can barely bear to be around him.
Oh, they can't stand him.
Yeah, so because he's so meddlesome. So he has peepholes and he's always running around snooping through their papers and their lives. So it's all to high comic purpose, but in the long run, I think that both books really have a poignancy by the end. They're very heartfelt by the end.
Will this be a movie?
It's a good question. A lot of people think it's a natural for a TV show because
TV rather
because
than...
it's in one set, it's in one world, one brownstone. I've written the screenplay of Christopher, and I have I've been writing.
Because you're a screenwriter.
Yes.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I don't make my living from these little books.
No, I was going to say, do you get more recognition from the novels or from your screenplays?
Well, screenplays or screenwriters are not the kind of people that get a whole lot of recognition. I mean, in terms of people, like, the joke, the actress, the Polish actress moved to Hollywood and dated the screenwriter. So
you can put her in every one of your plays.
I mean, not screenplays. You can't. You have no power. Zero.
Oh, dear.
You might be able to get them an audition, but that's about it.
That's it, really?
But I have a great screenwriting career that I'm very happy with. I have 3 movies coming out next year. I have no complaints.
You have a Morgan Freeman, one with Morgan Freeman. You did a chick flip.
Yeah, I wrote the very first original comedy that was ever done on Lifetime for women. I wrote Autumn in New York, and if that doesn't make me an honorary homo, I don't know what does.
Yeah, so where do you research these? How do you write a chick flick? How do you know what's going through this?
I do this radical thing. When women talk, I actually listen, whereas most men just start thinking about sports scores. I actually listen to them.
So that's what happens?
Yeah, and I really take women seriously. Listen, if you're a writer and you don't have an imagination that can enter other people's lives, then you might as well just be a memoirist, And so I really, I've written interracial dramas, I've written characters from England, I've written men, women, and I've written gay BK Troop.
But then when you write your screenplay, you don't have that luxury, do you?
Of
writing the way you want to write.
Oh, no, of course not. No, I'm there to please. I mean, they're investing $20 million, $30 million in this. So I'm there to please them. I want to do the best work I can, which ought to please them if I do my best work. But I'm not going. I don't quit. I don't argue with them. I give them what they're paying for, what they want.
Yeah.
And if you go into the Hollywood system thinking you're going to hold on to your darlings and do it your way, you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah. So what is BJ going to do next?
I love that you called him BJ because in Christopher, everyone gets his name wrong, and they call him BJ, which of course are the initials to a sex act.
They do call him BJ?
Which are the initials of a sex act. No, his name is BK, but somebody calls him BM and someone else calls him BJ.
You're kidding.
No. So
I've been calling him BJ.
Yeah, BJ.
BJ.
It's BK.
Okay.
It's BK Troop.
Where's he going next?
In the third novel called Death by Sunshine, which comes out next year, BK Troop is now an old man. See, these books were set in the 80s. Now it's 2003, and BK is 70 years old. He's almost 70. He gets a movie deal for Christopher. So he comes out on the train to Los Angeles, a city that he detests and has never visited. And he arrives and he's staying in a crappy motel. And of course, like most movie deals, it collapses. So now he's stranded. He's sweating in his tweeds. He has no car. He has no business being here. He's ready to kill himself.
Oh, God.
And so he's all ready to go back to New York when he meets a young man who is a hustler who caters to the Hollywood big shots.
Perfect.
And they go to a party deep in the valley, the most godforsaken party you've ever seen. And the boy goes out to buy BK some wine, and he never comes back.
Oh.
And BK becomes convinced he's been murdered. And BK decides he has to stay in LA until he figures out what happened to this kid. So BK becomes a detective.
Oh, that's great. And then we can go, in his old age, he can go on forever.
And he's in the great tradition of Raymond Chandler and Philip Marlowe. He's padding around LA with a Mexican chauffeur trying to figure out who killed this boy.
I love it. So we'll look for all of your work. We'll look on the screen, too, for your credit.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Allison Burnett. And don't go away. We'll be right back with Sheri Lee Robinson. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Artist Sheri Lee Robinson was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. She went to study at the Art Institute in San Francisco after attending San Francisco State University. I assume you always wanted to be an artist, is that right?
No, actually, I wanted to be a musician. I started out as a musician and gravitated towards painting.
Where were you playing and what instrument?
Well, I messed around a little bit down here in LA. I was raised in LA, and was messing around on guitar. And then I moved to San Francisco to go to college, and took some art classes and became just enamored with art and pursued that.
And gave up your guitar?
No, actually, I still played in bands, rock bands.
Do you play now?
In my living room.
Do you?
Yeah.
Were you in a band?
I was. Yes, I was. I was in a couple bands, just
Oh,
underground punk noise bands in San Francisco. It was a lot of fun.
What I was wondering is, did the Art Institute call you or did you call it? I mean, how did you get in? Did they choose you or did you choose them?
I went there and checked it out. My art teacher at State said, you should go to the Art Institute.
Oh, you had a a connection?
I didn't. I walked in, I just walked through the front doors and I was like, this is the place for me, definitely. And I submitted my portfolio and got accepted.
That's what I wondered. So they reviewed your portfolio.
Yes.
And what kind of work were you doing then?
Oh, at the time, it was just really super abstract drawings and strange little sculptures. I was really interested in sculpture at the time, so I had these very small, strange sculptures, and they loved them.
And then when you went to school there, what classes did you take?
Painting, drawing, sculpture, and art history.
Everything so you were just well-rounded as far as the arts went.
Yes.
And were you influenced by anyone, by one of your teachers there?
Oh, definitely. I had some great professors there. Sam Tikalian. He was a wonderful painter.
He has this feeling that you do. I see that now. Tikalian, right?
Yes, Sam Tikalian was a great man and a great painter, and I loved him, and I painted under him for a while. And also Franklin Williams.
But Franklin Williams, too, is very well. Oh, you had some really
And Bruce
good...
McGaw. I have to mention Bruce McGaw is another incredible painter. So I loved my professors, and I just thrived there. I loved it.
Did they taught undergraduate then? Did you go on to
do
any graduate work with them? Or was that the graduate school, the Art Institute?
No, I went through the undergrad program, and they also have a grad program. But I just went through the undergrad program, and life took over after college, and
you had a lot of shows in San Francisco in the Bay Area. Did you live there then for a while?
Yes, I did. I stayed in the Bay Area for 14 years.
Oh, so that's why you did so many shows. I know you've shown in LA and different parts of the country, but basically all of your galleries were San Francisco galleries and shows.
Yes. Yeah.
What style would you call your work?
Well, it was really abstract. That's very abstract. I would say abstract impressionism, because they're kind of impressionistic. You can kind of see a seascape there, but then what's the big black mark, So there's something very abstract about it, too.
And what is this?
The painting is titled Sea, and it's the ocean.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. There.
Bulls. I paint a lot of animals.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. They can be mythological animals or real animals, and this painting is called Winter. It's one of my latest. This is an odd little painting I just finished called The Pig Got Out and Ate Everything.
I love this, though. I love the balance.
A childhood story, like we had a pig and it actually got out and ate everything, and so
I love this painting. This looks great. What kind of materials do you use?
Oil and canvas.
Straight.
Pretty much for the paintings. Yeah, the paintings are all oil. And
do you stretch your own canvases?
I sometimes do, but now you can get them pre-stretched, really high quality pre-stretched.
So what, when you're painting something like you painted these portraits of me, how did you choose the technique? How did you decide what you were going to do? Let's talk about those, because you came into the studio. Tell us how the process went. I'm not going to tell it.
All right, okay. So I came into the studio and I wanted to photograph you, and I should have brought the photos.
That would have been good.
I will send them to you.
Okay, great.
I photographed you because photography is another love of mine that is yet to be pursued. It's next on my agenda. Anyway, I photographed you and took the photos back to my studio and just worked from them loosely, and just kind of this is just my style.
Which one came first? Which
the one on
of
the
these
left.
two?
This painting did here.
So this is more like the style that we saw that we were showing on camera.
Yes. And then this
And
one.
it-
I just
and
decided to
it's-
paint two. I don't know why. I just did.
And then the next one, and then the other one, the dark one.
The dark one it's more of like a ghostly image, you know.
Is it the same photograph that you used, or did you use?
Yeah, the same group of photos. I took
so
several
you used the
photos
group.
of you.
I see. So if you were doing a painting, where would you start? Like the painting behind you.
Well,
What's the name of that painting?
it's called Night.
I love it. It's beautiful.
It's inspired by Turner. I love Turner and Whistler. The Whistler seascapes and landscapes are one of my most favorite paintings ever.
I
And Whistler painted at night. He did these night portraits, and I was inspired by that.
And mine is kind of, maybe mine is
Yes.
like,
I was afraid that it was going to come off negative, you know, because they were so dark. But
They came
they're not.
off-
Wasn't feeling negative when I was doing them at all.
I think when the lights hit it, then you can really see it, like the painting behind you with the light on it. It's
Yeah.
just really strong. I'm going to show a couple more of your pieces of work.
Yes, that one's called Mars, Three Kings, and it's part of my mythological series.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Thank you.
So how did you start? Did you read the story first, or what did you?
I love myths. I love Joseph Campbell. He's one of my most favorite people
So
ever.
you read a lot, it sounds
I do
like.
read, and I'm inspired by that.
And do you listen to music while you're painting?
Oh yeah, I have to.
Oh, you do.
I have to because my studio is kind of noisy with the neighbors and the kids.
And what do you listen to?
Everything. My iPod has everything on it, but I love rock and roll. I like really loud rock and roll.
And this piece is
Yeah.
totally different from the other work.
Just finished it. It's brand new. This one's called Monkeys Talk.
But isn't it like the colors are different, everything
Yes.
much brighter?
Everything's different about it.
And where did that influence come from?
I just finished a book on Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Oh, that's what I could see
yeah,
that.
and I was
Oh, you mean you read this book
I
about
did.
Jean-Michel?
Yeah, well, it's his oh gosh, I'm not
Biography
remembering.
of him?
Yeah, I'm not remembering the author.
He did a drawing of me.
Oh, well, I'll be
Yeah.
darned.
So this is interesting. I can
Yeah,
see
I
the
was very-
feel.
I was very inspired by him, and I saw a show last year here at the MoCA, and it was just a great show, and I love monkeys.
He did paint a monkey. He painted a monkey when we were when he was here in LA.
Oh,
He was
wow.
interested in monkey tails for some reason. Painted some monkey
Very
tails
cool.
on some of the drawings. This one?
That one's called Play for Keeps, and I had started a commission for a client. He wanted something with a lacrosse theme, and I decided to go way back and do Native American lacrosse. And the figure is kind of this very abstract Native American clown type figure, in my mind anyway. Anyway, the client totally didn't get it.
He didn't like So we have it today to
So
see.
here it is. I love that painting.
Do I
don't
have
care what
another
anyone
one here?
says. You might, yeah.
Let me see. Let me get this. Oh,
No, that's just a...
this is not. Oh, here, the drawings. We didn't
Yes.
talk. You do a lot of drawings.
I do, yes, and they're all on my website.
Are they in black?
Black and white, ink, you know, pen and ink or charcoal.
Do you hang out with artists?
A little bit, yeah. I need to hang out with more artists. This is my
I wondered
goal.
if that was it, because I know you're a friend of Danielle Reed,
Yes.
who is old-time friend of ours, but she's a chef.
She is. I have a lot of chef friends, luckily.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, she's a fabulous chef.
She is.
And do those two things go together? Do you mix your talents? Do you show at her restaurants? Does she do things for your art openings?
They do mix. I mean, everything does mix very well together. She caters events for me and my family. I haven't shown at any of her restaurants yet, but hopefully.
But that's a great thing to
Yeah.
do. One thing that was just fascinating to me, you have a day job.
I do. Yes, I do. Several.
But the day job are these wonderful finishes.
Yes, I install,
What are they called?
It's called Italian plaster.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
love that. Stuccatino?
Stucco marmarino, marmarino
okay.
or
This
Venetian,
part,
otherwise
yeah.
known as Venetian plaster, the generic name for it.
Venetian plaster, yeah,
And
that one.
I work with designers and
And do they
do
choose the
projects with them.
colors?
mostly, yes, yeah, they do.
You know, we were at the Bauer Grunwald one year for the Biennale, for the Venice Biennale, and all the walls were done in this white
Yes.
stuccatino. Well, we
That's where
called
it
it
comes-
stuccatino. I don't know
That's
what
what
it
it's
is.
called in Italy. Yeah, that's where it came from.
And what's the process of this?
Oh, it's labor intensive. It's plastering, you know.
Is it like layers and layers or what?
It's several layers, yeah, 2 or 3 layers of
polish
plaster.
in between? What do you do?
It gets polished at the end with a steel trowel, steel burnished.
But not in between. So when you're building it up?
Yes, you can. You can polish. There's lots of different ways to apply it, and depending on the look you're going for.
And do you do the whole thing? Do you stucco the whole, like a fireplace?
Yes, yeah, I do.
You do the whole thing. You don't just give somebody the mixture of how to do it.
When you hire me, you get me.
I see.
And I will come and give it the artist touch. And
then one other thing you said you were doing with your mother?
Yes, my mother, Suzanne Thomason. We are making...
Is an artist? Is she an artist?
She's an interior designer here in LA.
She is.
Very
I
successful,
see.
incredible designer.
This is great.
That's a Tremont. We've started a line of mirrors. And a Tremont includes art and mirror in one frame.
Together, one piece,
It's
yeah.
From the 1800s, started in the 1800s in France.
And a lot of times they were, the frames were more decorated for Tremont.
Yes, these are modern Tremonts. And you can get those on her website at thomasandtunick.com.
Can't say that.
I can't. Excuse me.
Nope, saying that. But anyway, that's a really interesting thing. Who chooses the subject matter for, say, a mirror, Tremont?
My mom. She goes through my art and selects this and selects that, or if she wants something specific, I'll make something, and then she designs the frames and everything herself.
Do you paint in a studio?
I do.
Sheri Lee, where is it?
Yes, I do. It's in the basement of my house in Echo Park.
Oh, you're in Echo Park.
I am.
And you don't need natural light? Maybe that's why some of these are dark. Maybe that's why.
It's true. I have artificial lighting down there, and I do get some natural light that comes in. But it's a little cave, but it's my little cave, and I love it, and that's where I paint.
There are a lot of painters in Echo Park.
There are. The arts community is booming. Downtown is booming. There's so much happening.
Do you go to all those things?
Yes, I love it. I love being downtown, and it's just incredible. I hope it just keeps being revitalized.
And what about galleries? Is it difficult to get a gallery? I know you show it. Where Gibson?
Gibson Showroom. It's a designer showroom. I work mostly with interior designers in that field. So my next step is to be in a gallery, and I think by going downtown and being a part of the downtown scene, I'll meet people, and then that's how you get in. From what I have experienced, it's who you know.
I think that's true.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on.
You're so welcome.
And thanks for bringing the work. We love it. And thanks to you for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles today. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. See you next time.